Hello, I hope you are doing well. Welcome to day 2 of 5 days of my personal story. Throughout 5 days, I'm sharing my personal story of how sacred sexuality has transformed and even saved my life. And today is day 2. Our topic today is from shadow into the light. I'm a little nervous because today what I'm going to share with you I have never shared publicly. Only a few of my closest friends know what I'm going to share today. So anyway, I'm excited to share it with you and very grateful for the opportunity to. All right, well, I hope that you are having a great day so far. I'm going to start today with a brief recap of what we covered yesterday in day 1. Yesterday, I shared my magical discovery, sacred sexuality. I'll just do a little brief recap of that. And then today, I'm going to share how I was unconsciously hiding my authentic self and what the angels had to say about that. Brief recap of what we talked about yesterday in day 1. We talked about sacred sexuality, what it is, what in the world am I talking about? A lot of people are like, what do you mean sex is sacred and how do you make sex sacred? So basically, sacred sexuality involves utilizing your natural sexual energy, which is your life force energy. It's your vitality, your very life force essence. Utilizing your sexual energy for a higher purpose, such as it could be connecting more deeply with the divine, God, source, spirit, universe. It could be about improving your health, could be connecting more deeply with your partner if you're doing sacred sexuality with a partner, because you can also do it by yourself as well. It could be manifesting something like abundance or an opportunity to fulfill your purpose, and the list goes on and on. Sexual energy is the highest vibration energy available to us in physical form. It's really potent and powerful and incredibly healing, and we can utilize it in so many ways to improve our lives and to fulfill our life purpose, to live an abundant, fulfilling, very joyful, and very juicy life. So that's just a little bit about sacred sexuality, and over the course of the videos I'm going to keep sharing more, and then I'll even do another series after this to share even more about how do you do sacred sexuality. So stay tuned for all of that. But the overall idea here is that you are a sexual being. We're all sexual beings, and so many of us have been repressing that fact. And I'm going to say it's a fact. So also yesterday I opened up and shared my surprising initiation into sacred sexuality, how I found myself dating someone nearly a decade ago, and we just had these incredibly magical experiences together where I just realized, wow, something more is available to us through our sexuality. And it was just an incredible experience. And I also shared how devastated I was once that relationship came to an end, because I was experiencing this mind-blowing, earth-shattering sex that was really catapulting me into higher dimensions, was totally rejuvenating me, inspiring me, brought so much creativity through me. It really helped me to write my book. So it was incredible, this really peak experience in my life. And then when the relationship came to an end, I felt devastated, and I just felt like, well, how can this go away? I just found the most amazing thing ever. And so I went into, I would say, just like an inner shadow period, a dark period within my life where I was sad, I was grieving, I was just really, really down. And I'm sure like some of you might have been along with the journey with me then as my client or part of my community or in some of my classes, and I just carried on like normal. I mean, this was like something happening very deeply personal inside me, so a lot of people didn't know. So basically, let me start now by today, day 2. Our topic today is from shadow into the light. I found myself in this kind of shadowy period. And then I also realized around that time, actually, when I was writing my book, I realized I'd been in a big shadow for a lot of my life. and there was a big shadow that I was casting around my sexual orientation, because I'm bisexual. And I knew that when I was a teenager. I knew I was bisexual because if you've ever happened to read my book, I kissed my female cousin when I was a teenager, and we were both just like exploring our own sexual energy and our attraction to females. So we kissed a few times, and it was really interesting. It was a beautiful opening for both of us. But so I knew when I was a teenager that I was bisexual, but I just kind of hid that for most of my life because I thought it was weird. I didn't know any bisexual people. I was raised in a Christian religion that thankfully my church never said anything specifically about bisexuality or even homosexuality. They just didn't talk about it. But I still got the impression that my church wouldn't approve of it, that I thought like this was wrong or sinful or bad. And then, so fast forward to then when I was in my mid-20s, I found myself in love with a woman, and like completely in love with her, to the point where I came out as bisexual. I felt like I've got to be with this woman, and it was this incredibly spiritual connection we had, deep soul connection. And I ended up being in a relationship with her for 5 years, and we lived together, and so I came out to my family and friends, and it was a beautiful experience for me actually to come out and be my authentic self in that way, to admit that I was bisexual. And then I was grateful my family and friends were very accepting, which isn't the case for everybody who's LGBTQ. So anyway, I was very grateful. And then I ended up writing a book, which is called Authentic and Free, A Journey from Shame to Self-Acceptance. And I wrote this book because I was concerned about how many young adults were committing suicide because of being bullied. A lot of these young adults were gay or bisexual, lesbian, transgender, queer, questioning, and I just felt like, oh my gosh, no, this is not good. Let's not commit suicide because of this, when it's really an opportunity to embrace our authentic selves. It's like the world has so much farther to go when it comes to really just allowing everyone to be their authentic selves. So I wrote this book, and it was a really exciting period of my life, even though I was still in this shadow period deep internally because of the lost romance and the lost sacred sexuality. I was focused on my work, and I released this book. This was now back in 2012. I released my book, Authentic and Free, and I was in this period of really shining and soaring and spreading my wings and soaring as my authentic self. And part of the book's theme actually is the theme of the caterpillar going into the cocoon or chrysalis and then emerging as the beautiful butterfly. And that's the perfect metaphor, I feel like, for our authentic selves. And I'm just curious if you're up for sharing, do you feel like you're living as your authentic self? Do you feel like you're soaring, spreading your wings as the beautiful butterfly that you are? Or do you feel like you're maybe hiding in a cocoon, or maybe even the caterpillar phase? I call the caterpillar phase the phase of self-discovery. The cocoon is the cocoon of self-acceptance, where we learn to embrace ourselves. We're like in this cocoon, learning to love ourselves, accept our authentic selves. And then the butterfly is the phase of total self-expression, where you're just confident about being who you are. And I find too that we might go in and out of these different phases: the caterpillar of self-discovery, the cocoon of self-acceptance, the butterfly of self-expression. We might kind of, it's not just a natural linear progression from caterpillar to butterfly. You might get to butterfly and then kind of like go back into a cocoon for a bit, as I did. So I was in this phase of like, here I am, world, my authentic self. I felt like I put it all out there. I share in the book that I'm bisexual and my journey of embracing that. I share in the book, Authentic and Free, my journey of healing from an eating disorder, how I used to be in a lot of shame and self-doubt, and then how I learned to embrace my body and embrace my emotions and love myself. And so I share about my life purpose in the book. There's all kinds of juicy details in the book. So then this is where I went into another shadow period. Was about maybe 6 months after I released the book. I just went into a lot of shame. it's like I just felt, oh my God, what did I just do? I just totally opened up Pandora's box. I wrote all my juicy details in this book. I shared journal entries from teenage years. I was like so open and raw. And then I retracted and I felt like, oh my God, I totally overshared. I felt ashamed and I was just scared, like I put too much out there. And so then it was interesting timing. It was right around the timing when I was being guided to teach about the angels. And if you've been with me for a while, you know I've been teaching for many years about how to connect with your team of angels, how to tune into your intuition, follow your life purpose with the guidance of the angels. And so that was a really important period of my life as well, to work more closely with the angels and to share their messages. And so I did that, and I found, well, when I'm sharing the angels' messages, it's not as important to share about my bisexuality or to like share about myself. And so this is the juicy detail that I haven't shared publicly, actually, is that now that I'm here in 2019, reflecting back over the journey, I realized that from 2012 till 2019, while I've been teaching so much about the angels, I was unconsciously hiding behind the angels. I was hiding my authentic self. I felt really comfortable sharing the angels' messages and telling you what they were saying, but I wasn't comfortable sharing my true self or my messages or how I felt about things. And so, I mean, it was all perfect, right? It's all divine. I'm not gonna beat myself up over it, but it was like, whoa, what a mind-blowing aha. I was hiding behind the angels. And that's not what the angels would want me to do, right? So anyway, I'm going to share a little more, and then I'll share what the angels had to say about this. It's so interesting. Okay, so here I am teaching about the angels for many years. And in the meantime, sacred sexuality was really important to me. I was attending retreats and workshops and exploring sacred sexuality on my own and being educated in it. And I was even doing things like, I have another confession to make. I used to do burlesque dancing, which was really, really empowering for me. I did really this beautiful burlesque dancing with a group of women of all shapes and sizes. And it was so empowering to dance in a sexy way and to get confident in my body and to be part of this group. So I did burlesque dancing very secretly. I didn't tell anyone. I was like so worried that people would find out, and here I am just telling you anyway. And it was really, really fun. Really, really exciting experience in my life, and it helped me get more comfortable in my sexual energy. So here I am teaching about the angels, but in my private life, sexuality is really important to me, and it was an important tool for helping me to heal from the eating disorder, to get more confident, to share my gifts in the world, to be more inspired and receive divine downloads. And I really feel like I couldn't have connected with the angels as clearly as I did if it weren't for the sacred sexuality, clearing out my chakras, opening my intuition, helping me more clearly hear the angels. It's so interesting. So then a couple of years ago, I started working with the fairies. And the fairies, they are nature angels. They're very similar to the angels, but they're a little more playful and sassy. And whereas the angels are just pure light, the fairies are light, but they also have their shadow side. And interestingly, fairies are very sexual. They don't view sexual energy the way that we do. We think it's like about, you know, having sex with someone, or like having to look a certain way or dress a sexy way, but we reserve sex for our romantic partner. The fairies, their sexual energy is flowing all the time. They literally told me that the way they say hello to each other is by exchanging sexual energy. They just kind of like buzz around each other, and it's not about sex. They don't have genitals the way we do. They just kind of get together their energy and they swirl around each other and like buzz, they just say hello. And to them, that is sexual energy. So anyway, I learned a lot from the fairies about sexual energy. And along the journey over the last few years, I started getting these intuitive nudges that I needed to teach sacred sexuality. and to really bring this message forward, because the time is now and it's the next phase of our spiritual evolution. But I will tell you, I was very nervous to share this with you, very nervous, like wondering what will people think, and oh my gosh, I was being called to bring forward another whole layer of my authentic self. And I'm very grateful that so many people are very excited about it. So thank you for being one of those people who are interested and curious and wanting to know more and wanting to find out more about what it is. So sacred sexuality is so important. And I realized too that sexuality is an important part of our authentic selves. Right. So the overall message today is I'm sharing, it's like how I thought I was being so authentic by writing my book, Authentic and Free. And then the irony was I was actually hiding my authentic self for years behind the angels. So I wrote a book, Authentic and Free. I thought I was authentic, but then really I was hiding an important part of myself. I've been hiding my true my true identity. I've been hiding how I feel. I've been hiding the fact that sacred sexuality is really, really important to me and that I'm being guided to teach it. So no more hiding, out in the open now. Very, very grateful for that and excited to share this with you. And I want to share a little bit about what the angels said. So I've been talking to them like, oh my goodness, I was hiding my authentic self behind you. What do you think about that? Of course, they just kind of laugh at me and they say, they have compassion and love, but they've said that we can't fulfill our life purpose unless we're being our authentic selves. Whatever that means for you, your self is a combination of, it's like your soul expression in the world, your gifts, your personality, maybe even partly it's your orientation or your sexuality, or your authentic self is like this beautiful expression of your light, and it can look so many different ways. So the way my authentic self looks might be very different from how your authentic self looks or expresses yourself in the world. But the point is that part of our purpose is being ourselves. So if you want to fulfill your life purpose, that's part of your job, is to be yourself, to share your feelings, to let yourself be real and authentic, and to not feel like you're hiding anything, because our secrets keep us stuck and our secrets keep us sick or make us sick. And just think, is there anything in your life that you feel like you're hiding? It could be how you feel about a situation, could be hiding your dreams, your goals, your dreams for your life, or your desires. I call them divine desires. Those divine desires are planted on your heart from the divine. They are not just like a far off fantasy or desire or dream, like, oh, maybe someday I will move to Hawaii, or oh, maybe someday I'll have the relationship of my dreams. No, those desires and dreams, they are your soul knocking at the door, like knocking, hello, wake up, and your soul wanting to fulfill these dreams and desires, these divine desires. So part of getting more authentic is about being honest about what you want, who you are, how you want to express yourself in the world. And if you want to live an abundant life, being yourself is also the key. Being your true, authentic self in the world. And I'm laughing because now it all makes so much sense. Over the last couple of years, almost every question I asked the angels and fairies, their answer would be yourself. I would say something like, how can I improve my health? They'd say, be yourself. I'd say, how can I experience abundance? Be yourself. And a lot of times, like if you've had readings with me or been in my classes, that would be the answer for so many people. It's like, how do I meet my soulmate? Be yourself. How do I fulfill my life purpose? Be yourself. Now I have a deeper understanding of what they meant about be yourself. This is about shining light on our shadows, being comfortable with our light and our strengths, but also being comfortable with our shadows and with our humanity. Because yes, we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and there's so much beauty in the human experience, and so much beauty even in our human need for sexuality. Our bodies need to express ourselves sexually. It's such a natural part of who we are as humans. And I mean, I hear this a lot of times. Souls will say that, you know, part of the reason they came to planet Earth and into a physical body was to experience the joys and pleasures of physicality, which includes sex and food, of course, food too, but pleasures that we can experience when we're in a physical body that we can't when we're just in soul form. When, like, the angels can't experience sex, they can move sexual energy, but they can't experience it physically like we do. So anyway, just a few, so some food for thought, that part of you being your authentic self is being comfortable being a sexual being. And part of being your authentic self is being comfortable with who you truly, truly are. And I just would love to hear from you anything that stood out from today's message. Do you feel like you're being your authentic self? Do you feel like you know who your authentic self is? Do you feel like you're shining your light and sharing your gifts in the world? Or do you feel like you're hiding in any way? Hiding your dreams, hiding could be your sexual orientation, hiding your true feelings, your desires, anything about your authentic self. And this is about being comfortable with both our light and our shadows, things that we consider shadows that really aren't shadows. It's all light, but just shining light on who you really, really are. So I'm just going to do a brief recap, but that's the main message I wanted to share today was about authentic self. And tomorrow in day 3, I'm going to share how I came crashing down. So yes, I had these great realizations, but something pretty bad happened actually next in my story. And I will be sharing that with you tomorrow, how I came crashing down and how sacred sexuality saved my life. And then just a brief recap of today's messages. Your authentic self wants to shine. You can't fulfill your life purpose without being your authentic self. Being yourself is really, really important to fulfilling your purpose. And part of that involves getting comfortable with your sexuality and also your sacred sexuality, because your sexuality is part of your authentic self. Woohoo! Oh my gosh, there's so much more I can share with you, and I'm so excited to be on this journey of sharing the 5 days of the story, and there's so much more to come. If you're not already in my Facebook group, then please hop over to Mariposa Sacred Sexuality. It's a Facebook group, and I'll post the link in the comments below as well. But if you just go to Facebook, type Mariposa Sacred Sexuality, and then you can join us for really deep conversations around sacred sexuality, love, relationships, empowerment, and it's a great, great place to have find like-minded souls and have really great deep conversation. So join us there if you're not already a member, and then if you're not on my business page, you can also check that out too. It's Courtney Long, Sacred Sexuality Coach, and I'll post a link too. So thank you for being here. I'd love to hear how you feel. I hope you're feeling uplifted, just to know that your authentic self is so bright and beautiful. And thank you for witnessing my story. And the angels are celebrating. They're so excited for all of us for this next phase of our spiritual journey, stepping into sacred sexuality. And I hope you have a phenomenal, phenomenal day. And yeah, just be with your authentic self and just maybe ask, how can I step into the light a little more today? We only have to do a little bit each day, or maybe big steps, but at least just ask, how can I step into the light a little more today? All right, mwah! Lots of love, and I can't wait to connect with you tomorrow too. Have a great day.